Hi and welcome back to Lavender Coco Kitchen. Today I've got a great recipe for you, which is white chocolate Nutella. So of course we all love Nutella. So this is a white chocolate version and it's healthy. And of course it is vegan, so it's dairy free and it's low in sugar as well. And it's just packed with wholesome ingredients. So rather than going out and buying a jar of processed Nutella, which you know is high in sugar, and I can probably bet that the white chocolate Nutella is even higher in sugar than the normal one, probably. So this is one that everyone can enjoy because I'm going to show you how to make it two different ways. In the first way, you can use nuts, and in the second way, it's nut-free, which means that everyone can enjoy it. No matter what your health condition, or if you have allergies, or if of course you just want to remain fit and healthy and avoid processed food and excess sugar, then this is a great recipe to try. Alright, so for the first version, I have cashews that I've soaked in boiling water for about 30 minutes. Obviously, the longer you soak them, the softer they are and they're easier to blend to a smooth paste. So just strain the water. And of course, we have the hazelnuts, which is a main component of Nutella. And these are just roasted hazelnuts. You can roast them yourself, or you can buy them ready roasted if you wish. So just put those in there. So I have a quarter of a cup of cacao butter that I've melted over a very low heat. Keep the heat low so it doesn't burn. And that cacao butter is of course the fat content of the cocoa bean, and that will give you a more of a white chocolate type of taste without sugar. So we'll put that in there. So now we come to the sweetener, which I'm using maple syrup. And I'm only going to put in 1.5 tablespoons, so the sugar content stays low. If you feel it does need a little more sweetness, you can add a little more, but just make sure you do it in small quantities and keep tasting it, because we don't want to over sweeten it. And obviously if you put less sugar, you can taste more of the flavors of the other ingredients as well. We have vanilla. I'll put a tablespoon of vanilla to add a little more natural sweetness. Right, now I've got maca powder here. So I'm just going to put in half a teaspoon. It just gives a little bit of a caramel chocolatey flavour. And of course it is good for you as well. And then to add a little more flavour to the finished mix, I got cinnamon. So I'll just put a quarter of a teaspoon. I won't put too much because we don't want to darken the colour. We want to keep it fairly white. And I'll put a quarter teaspoon of cardamom as well. That just enhances the flavour. And it's worth trying the spices in it to see what you think, because it really does add depth of flavour to the finished product. To get a more creamy and spreadable texture, I'll just put in some coconut cream. So you can see the hard part of the cream has gone to the top of the can because it's cold. So just use that top part. You can put it in the fridge to make it cold if the weather's hot. So I'll just put about a quarter cup in there. Alright, that's all we need to do. Now we just need to blend it until it's smooth. Well, I've blended it for 1 minute. It's still a bit grainy and I forgot to put salt in. So you just add like a little pinch of salt, because salt obviously will bring out the flavours a bit more. But you don't need too much, just enough to enhance the flavour. So I'm just going to blend it again to make it a bit smooth. So now we have a fairly smooth paste. So if you want it extra smooth, you can blend it more, but it's pretty good like that. There we have our first version of white chocolate Nutella. Now you can just keep this in the fridge. It will firm up in the fridge a bit, but it should be fairly spreadable still. And it may even lighten in colour a little as you store it. So I'm just going to put this in the fridge and show you the next version. Okay, so for our second version of white chocolate Nutella, we're not going to use any nuts. We're actually going to use chickpeas, which do resemble hazelnuts in appearance. And surprisingly, this actually tastes pretty similar to the one with the nuts. So if you don't want to use nuts, like if you have allergies or if it's expensive or whatever, you can actually use the chickpea version. So I've just got 1/3 cup of chickpeas. They're just normal cooked chickpeas, either from a can or just boil them yourself. And this one, I'm not going to roast them as I did in my chickpea Nutella, because I want to keep the product looking white. And if you roasted them, it actually darkens the colour too much. So I just leave them as they are. So I'm going to use cacao butter again. It's 1/8 cup of cacao butter. Some coconut butter. So this is coconut butter, and I made it myself out of desiccated coconut. It's very easy to make. You just put like 3 cups of desiccated coconut in a blender, start blending it, and then you can add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of coconut oil and just keep blending until you end up with a paste that looks like this. It is quite a long process, probably takes about 10 to 15 minutes in the blender, so it does require a bit of patience, but it does make a nice spread by itself, or you can use it in other recipes like this one. Obviously it goes hard in the fridge, so you have to stand it in some hot water just to soften it. So we're going to use 1/8 cup. You probably can buy coconut butter at health food stores. I haven't really looked for it, but as I said, it is very easy to make. It just takes a bit of time. So I'm just going to melt that over a very low heat until it's melted. Keep the heat low, because if that burns, it becomes bitter in flavour. So while that's melting, I'm just going to put the 1/3 cup of chickpeas in to blender. So we'll have our maple syrup again, about 1.5 tablespoons. And a tablespoon of vanilla. And 1/2 teaspoon of maca. So as you can see, I'm putting basically the same ingredients in as I did last time. The only thing I've changed, I've taken away the nuts and put chickpeas instead. And I'm using a little coconut butter as well. And coconut isn't exactly a nut, so if you have nut allergies, it's probably very unlikely that you'd be allergic to coconut, because the coconut is actually more of a fruit. I'll put 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and cardamom. And I won't forget this time, just a little bit of salt, Himalayan salt, to enhance the flavour. I'll put in a couple of tablespoons of coconut cream as well. So we'll add our melted mixture. It's just a matter of blending it till it's smooth. So there we have a fairly smooth paste. It blends a bit more easily than the ones with the nuts. So we have our white chocolate Nutella made from chickpeas. And if you try this, you'll probably be surprised that the taste is actually quite similar to the ones with nuts. And they are both really delicious. And you can store them in the fridge. Like I said, they go a bit more firm in the fridge, but they should stay fairly spreadable. Or you can leave them out of the fridge just for a while before you're using them. So I'll just put that in the fridge now. One that's made with the nuts, it's been in the fridge for a while. You can see it's gone firmer, but it is still quite spreadable. And it's gone a bit lighter too in appearance. And it's really tasty. And of course we have the one made with chickpeas, which is also been in the fridge. And it's gone a little harder, but it's still okay. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.